Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And we have something truly unique for you today. This match features an ending that I don't think I've ever seen before. But we're straying dangerously close into spoiler territory here, so I'm gonna keep quiet about that, and you're just gonna have to wait and see when it happens. Also, this is Brawl mode, hence 5v5, and everybody's in Tier 9 cruisers. This is Energetica, by the way. He's in the Spanish Tier 9 cruiser, the Andalusia. Or is that actually pronounced Andalusia? I don't know. I know how the English pronounce it. I have no idea how the Spanish pronounce it. But anyway, the Andalusia. We'll come on to why he picked the Andalusia in a moment, and it's not for a good reason. But yeah, this particular game mode, Brawl, I like the Brawl mode because it's never the same from one season of Brawl to the next. I think in the first season of Brawls, it was something like either 1v1 or 2v2 Tier 8 battleships. And so, of course, everybody picked the Tirpitz and the Massachusetts, because if you have to pick a Tier 8 battleship, why would anybody pick anything else? It's probably no coincidence that they're both premiums. But it was fun. It was fun, because they're both great ships to play. But it did get kind of samey after a while, because match after match, you'd queue it for a Brawl in your Tirpitz or Massachusetts, and the enemy team would be the Tirpitz or the Massachusetts. Occasionally you'd see a Bismarck, but only because the Bismarck player didn't have a Tirpitz or a Massachusetts. But they keep swapping it up with every Brawl season. In this Brawl season, it's Tier 9 cruisers, 5v5. Now, on to Energetica's choice of ship, the Andalusia. He didn't pick it because it's good. It's not bad, but it's definitely not the meta in this Brawl season. For this season of Brawl, if you've got them, people pick the tanky cruisers, which is why you see lots of Alaskas, lots of Schroders, lots of Aegires, the odd Michelangelo or two. Energetica doesn't have any of those. In fact, he only has 5 Tier 9 cruisers. Oh, actually, no. He only has 4. He's got the Andalusia, obviously. He's also got the Michelangelo, the Neptune, and the Drake. And the Neptune is probably the least tanky of all of the untanky Tier 9 cruisers. He thought he'd go for the Andalusia. Oh no, if only had the armor piercing loaded. Oh, look at that beautiful Brawl. Oh, look, an Alaska. Actually, the enemy team have got 2 of them. The Alaska's a solid choice for this battle mode. Energetica's team don't have any of them. They've got a Schroeder, they've got an Aegir. There's at least one Aegir on the enemy team as well. Ooh, that's something, by the way, that the Andalusia is good for. It's extremely quick and manoeuvrable. Look at how easily he was able to avoid the return fire there. As well as the Andalusia here, which isn't spectacularly untanky. It's got decent side armour, but the nose is horribly vulnerable. The team also have a Rune, which is a spectacularly untanky Tier 9 cruiser. This team also have an HMAS Encounter, which you can see getting smacked within an inch of its life, all the way over there. I don't know an awful lot about the HMAS Encounter. It's a Commonwealth Tier 9 cruiser, obviously. I believe it was based on the Hawkins. The only thing I know about it is it's really quick, which suggests it also is about as badly armoured as the Rune over there that's getting smacked into the middle of next week too. Oh dear. He's managed to get... No, he didn't even manage to get his torpedoes away. Ooh, he's about to die. Is he? Oh, I think he's burning. Ooh, yeah, he's going to die. Yeah, if the Michelangelo or the Alaska don't get him, then the Aegir up to the north probably will. As he ducks into cover behind the islands, and the friendly Aegir takes over the charge. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Rune's gone down. That was fairly inevitable. The Encounter's probably going to be next. Given how untanky the Andalusia is, Energetica's tactic, well, originally he was going to try to run up on a flank and get some flanking shots in, which is what you would normally do in this thing. But in this mode and on this map, that would have been suicidal. So instead, he's keeping everybody at arm's length and just supporting the tankier ships on the team. And the Encounter has died, so not that. But the tankier ships on the team like the Aegir. Interestingly, the Schroeder appears to be doing the same thing. And the Schroeder's a fairly tough ship. You would have been expecting it to be up there with a friendly Aegir, who's basically carrying this by himself. Yeah, okay, he took out the Michelangelo. He's forced to turn, though, which does mean giving broadside to the Alaska in front of him, but You can't angle against the Alaska in front of him without giving broadside to the Alaska to the north up there, as well as that enemy Buffalo. But he timed the turn, he timed it quite well. Between shots from the Alaska in front, he managed to nail him with torpedoes, and now he's going to try to start kiting away. Don't know if he's on low health though. Yeah, they got him. Okay. Right, 2 versus 3. Not good. The Schroeder's still a fairly chunky ship. The Andalusia, however, is not. And that Alaska definitely is. I think the enemy team also have a surviving Aegir, and of course the Buffalo. The enemy team have Cap Circle Alpha. There's the enemy Aegir, presumably up there with the Buffalo, flipping the central cap at Bravo. And, yeah. Energetica's team might be able to hold on to this southern cap at Charlie, but they're going to need to kill this Alaska. Energetica, who has been landing consistent high explosive damage, like 4,000 damage per salvo, switches to the armor piercing, activates the burst fire mode. He'd have been better off. Alaska's a tanky cruiser. He'd been better off sticking to the high explosive. So yeah, straight back to the high explosive. He learned his lesson there. Oh yeah, of course, the Andalusia does have a burst fire mode. It's not particularly good. You only get 2 quick salvos and then the guns go on a relatively short cooldown. But I mean, these are 9.2 inch guns. They're bigger caliber than regular heavy cruisers, and the high explosive is fairly spicy. There we go, he's got the Alaska. Defended the cap at Charlie, that's his first kill. It's a 2v2. The Schroeder's taken a beating. He's hunkering down behind the island over there. Is he behind the island? Or is he in? Yeah, he is behind the island. He's not completely stupid. Okay. And here come the enemy Aegir. And of course the Buffalo back there. Ooh, the Buffalo is given a lot of broadside. And it is not a particularly tanky cruiser. Unloads the high explosive at the Aegir. Instantly switches to the armor piercing. He's surely going to be going for the Buffalo now. Yes, he is. And the burst fire mode is ready to go. This could be good. This could be very, very good. There we go. 1 salvo. 2 salvos. Come on, baby. To be fair, he didn't quite give enough lead there. So most of those shots fell to the rear of the Buffalo. Although he does still have the armor piercing loaded, and now the Aegir is giving broadside. But it is, I mean, I keep saying these are tanky cruisers, but they're tanky by cruiser standards, and this is still 9.2 inch armor piercing. Come on. Burst fire salvo out. Ooh, oh yeah, baby, there we go. And they're up. They're up by 1 kill, although the Schroeder's not looking very happy. Oof. Yeah, I think the Buffalo's about to get him. Still got the armor piercing loaded though, and that Buffalo is still giving broadside. Yeah, the Schroeder's gone down. Although not before he did a fair amount of damage to the Buffalo. And the Buffalo is now angling. So this armor piercing is probably not going to do a huge amount. I mean, the Buffalo is by no means a tanky cruiser. It's a heavy cruiser, sure, but remember, the heavy part of the designation refers to the caliber of the guns, not the thickness of the armor. Gets another high explosive salvo out against the Buffalo. And it's consistent damage. You're never going to do a huge amount of damage by using the high explosive, but he's doing like 3,000 to 4,000 damage per salvo. Switching to the armor piercing now. The Buffalo is, it looks like he's trying to get into cover behind the island. Oh, he's realised how vulnerable he is. He's angling in again. Which means this armor piercing salvo is probably not going to do a huge amount. Back to the high explosive. You know, I have to give some credit where credit's due here. That Buffalo is doing almost everything right. He knows he's not going to be able to flip that cap as long as he's spotted. So he's ducking in behind the island, and he's probably going to stay undetected there until that cap circle is flipped, which of course is why Energetica is popping his spotter plane. But I don't think it's going to do any good. Energetica taking the opportunity to get the ship turned around here. The Buffalo is on lower health, but it does have a heal. Although whether or not he has any charges of that heal left at this stage of the battle is anybody's guess. But yeah, he's pretty much doing exactly what I was expecting him to do. He's staying in behind that island until he flips the cap. If he's got a heal, he's also going to be taking advantage of that to get some health back up. This just turned into a fair fight. And fair fights are bad news for everyone involved. So, yeah, with the enemy team having all 3 cap circles and being 300 points ahead, and of course going even further ahead with every 3 seconds that passes, Energetica doesn't have an awful lot of choice but to close in and try to get the Buffalo. He's got him respotted. I don't know if this is going to do any good though. I mean, that Buffalo is tucked in behind the island there like a tick on a dog's back. Energetica does have a bit of a health advantage, but the Buffalo's got the points and he's got the caps. Now there's still nearly 10 minutes of this battle left, so nobody's going to run the clock down here, but the Buffalo doesn't have to run the clock down. He just has to stay alive long enough to turn that points lead into a win. Energetica kind of has to take the chances here. The problem, of course, is neither of these guys are going to be in any rush to give broadside to each other because they're both heavy cruisers with very dangerous armor piercing. If you turn to give broadside to get all of your guns firing, you're going to get paddled. If you turn to give broadside to get your torpedoes away, Energetica's going to get paddled. Buffalo sees him coming, and he's doing pretty much everything right here. Energetica has the armor piercing loaded, and it's basically not going to do anything against an angled Buffalo like that. But then again, Energetica is also angled well against the Buffalo's armor piercing. For a while I thought the Buffalo was doing almost everything right except for varying his ammunition choice, because he never switches to the high explosive. But when I stopped to think about it, the Buffalo's sticking to armor piercing is actually the smart choice here, because he's never going to win a high explosive duel against an Andalusia that started the fight with more health. So instead what he's doing is just focusing on staying alive as long as he can. He's using the armor piercing to try to knock out Energetica's turrets. And he doesn't have to survive for very long, because he's already up to 934 points. He just has to stay alive for another minute and he's won this. Which of course means that Energetica has 1 minute to kill this guy or he's going to lose. And the temptation to turn and get torpedoes away here must be overwhelming. But if he does that, that Buffalo's armor piercing will kill him. Energetica switched back to the armor piercing, looking for a quick kill, but the Buffalo is not falling for that old gag and he's still going for Energetica's turrets. And it's worked. He's knocked out one of the turrets. There goes the damage control. He's looking for the torpedo kill, but if he turns to give the broadside to get the torpedoes away, the Buffalo will finish him. Ironically, a high explosive salvo there may have been enough to do it. The Buffalo is on 990 points. He's 10 points away from winning. 994 points. The Buffalo actually gets 998 points. 2 points away from winning on the scoreboard. And then Energetica just lightly kisses him with the bows of the ship and survives the ram because Energetica was running a ramming flag. Now, I don't know who runs a ramming flag on a cruiser, but, well, Energetica does. And the ramming flag not only increases the amount of ramming damage that you do, which is irrelevant in this case because the Buffalo only had 1,900 hit points remaining, but it also reduces the amount of ramming damage that you take. Now, ordinarily when two ships ram each other, they both die, and the win then goes to whoever had the most points, which would have been the Buffalo. So while the Buffalo definitely looked like he wanted to avoid the ram, he was backing away, he had every expectation of winning it if it came to a ram. And he would have won it because he was only 2 points away from winning anyway. Except for some bizarre reason, known only to himself, Energetica was running a ramming flag on a cruiser. And it's just as well that he did, because if not for that, that would have been a defeat. You do kind of have to feel for the Buffalo, however. That was more than 1,000 base experience on a defeat. Like I said, the guy basically did everything right. He just wasn't counting on somebody running a ramming flag on a cruiser. And honestly, who would have expected it? I certainly wasn't. But thanks to that, we have a unique ending in this particular World of Warships battle, all down to Energetica's bizarre choice of flags. And I hope you enjoyed watching it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.